Guys, what an interesting couple of hours. Bitcoin was at 64,000, dropped down to early 61,000s, now back at 63,000 in just a few hours. Guys, lots to speak around today. I want to speak around this current move right now. What do we need to see that it's real? And we're going to have that short squeeze up closer to 70,000. And as well as, is this a trap, right? Are we actually going to possibly go down lower? Guys, I'm Sheldon. Welcome to Sniper Trading. Smash up the like, smash up the subscribe button, and let's jump in. Okay, so first thing I quickly want to show you guys is weekly close. So this weekly close, an important thing that we did see was an engulfing candle, right? This was bigger than this one, right? And that's a good sign. The last time we saw an engulfing candle, we actually saw Bitcoin go from $66,000 all the way to $83,000. So the engulfing was good. Then what we had was the drop off today. I actually spoke about it a little bit earlier on the Banter stream, saying it's very likely we're going to see a push down and then an absorb to the upside. We're starting to see this. So this is quite interesting. Now, the important thing to see here, specifically on the weekly, is you see these closes here, these weekly closes are sitting at 63,500, right? It was very important that we did reclaim that, okay? And from here, you can see the next major resistance is sitting at 65, if not $67,000. So if this is a real bounce that we're seeing now, and we start to break through these resistances here, very likely we're going to see a strong candle to the upside, possibly within this week. And then you could see that all the next resistance is sitting here at 65, 66, and after that is into the 70,000s, which means if we look at this USDT dominance chart, right? This was quite an important chart to pay attention to, is we obviously saw a rising wedge to the upside, which we have broken, and we shot straight into retesting it today, right? So if there is another push up here, again, this chart going down is bullish for markets. This is where we're looking at a rejection and a strong continuation to the downside. So I think this little pause that we're seeing within the market is possibly actually just a warm-up zone for another leg to come. And it's very likely we could see the leg this week. So let's go through the short time frame options that I'm seeing here. Okay, so the first thing is crazy price, right? We had the Michael Saylor news, selling off a bit of Bitcoin. Again, guys, it will all be this fear, immediate reaction that we see, and all of a sudden you can just see how fast this can be absorbed, right? So again, just shows you that FUD can very much flush out markets. But I want to go through a couple of things. So the first thing I'm paying attention to is, since we've had these lows here, right? The lower low and the break to the upside, we knew this because of bullish divergence, right? We also saw, I just want to show you guys, we did have some bearish divergence earlier, right, where we had a higher high in RSI and a lower low in price, therefore a fast reaction. But I do think that can possibly not be there anymore. But nonetheless, if we look at this, we did break out of this trend. Okay, so we broke out of the trend, and the important thing was us not going back in, right? So right now, as it stands, right, we don't want to see any closes this week, right, kind of sitting below the $61,000, $62,000 zone. We worked there today, but closes below here is a bad sign for us possibly going down to the downside, which means that right now, supports are starting to rise, right? Will this be our first higher low that we're looking for? And right now, supports on Bitcoin is sitting here between $61,000 and $62,000. Anything above that this week we hold, very likely good opportunities to the upside. Now, we had a drop-off earlier that actually wiped out a bunch of liquidity. So a couple of hours ago, there was a bunch of yellow sitting over here, all the way from the early 62s all the way down to the mid 61,000s. As you can see, this drop has now wiped that liquidity out. Now, one thing that I have noticed, okay, and why there is a possibility of maybe one more test to the downside, is we are still seeing some liquidity at the late 60,000s. Right, so I'll go through the plays now. Other than that, I'm not seeing any crazy liquidity spikes. So what that looks like, okay, is basically this when it comes to a couple of options. So again, we have that breakout, but I'm going to speak around the next short-term kind of plays that I'm seeing. The first one, right, is the short squeeze, right? So we're sitting here at this resistance right now, and it's actually the main 618. So if you draw a fib from the top all the way down, we're at main 618, right? Which means if we can really get through here now, very likely we'll see a squeeze up to 65,600, right? Then after that, you can basically see the three walls here when it comes to short-term or mid-term short squeezes, right? So we want to see a break out of this. Once we get there, we want to get through 65,600, and then from 67 above that is to $72,000. Okay, so the bullish plays, we actually start breaking out there today, and we start forming quite a bit of a short-term parabolic move to the upside. Right. However, there is still a bearish view for as long as we sit below the 618. So if we don't get through here, right, we do have the short-term little trend sitting there. Right, we need to get through here. If we don't get through here, we can see another test to the downside. And I do see a possibility of a slightly lower low and then getting bought up, right? So again, by the end of the week, we don't want to be closing here below the 61.62. But in the interim, a bearish view, we could actually go down there. Now, I want to show you guys the reverse Fibonacci's here, right? And there's an important one I want to show you guys over here, which is a 0.5 that lines up with these horizontals here. Okay, so for me, if I'm going to buy more and add more positions, okay, I'm looking for an area down over here. Right, this is where I'm looking for. This zone over here, or even possibly down over here. This would match that liquidity grab close to that late 60,000s that I was speaking around, okay? And then we also have the main 618 at $60,200. Those are two long-in areas for me that I'm paying attention to open up new trades, to build new positions in those areas for as long as we stay below this trend over here, or this Fibonacci. The moment we start pushing through, there'll be some fresh entries on this side over here. But for now, I do have to keep that in mind. Now, with that as well, as we're tracking up, I want to pay attention and see that we're not forming any bearish divergences. So as it stands right now, we still have a slightly lower high. But if we decide to push through and get a rejection, we'll have a higher high on chart and a lower high in RSI, right? So we must keep that in mind over there too. So again, short-term bearish, this is where I'm bullish, okay? And to get bullish from here, I need to see us push up towards that $65,000, $66,000 zone. When it comes to altcoins, same thing. Altcoins are still sitting with a bunch of resistance ahead of it. So to show you guys over here, we have ETH sitting at this main wall up over here. What's interesting is once ETH gets through this wall, right, there is a big squeeze up to the $2,000 zone. Right, so is the market charged enough to go from here? All depends if we start to break out of that trend of what we saw on Bitcoin. If not, right, there is a scenario of a little bit of a altcoin push to the downside, and that could bring ETH anywhere here to the mid, if not late, the 1600s. Right, so anywhere here down these trends, main 618s. And guys, this is not bearish. This is where I will be extremely bullish, right, and adding a lot more to positions. Bullish scenario, let's get through here, and there'll be some options for a push up over here. Okay, things like Solana, Sol's actually looking pretty strong. Maybe a short-term little break. Again, Bitcoin's still got resistance ahead, but definitely one of the leading altcoins over the last week or two, right? Really looking good. If we don't see strength here and we do see another flush down, I'd be very likely to look at something like this. And this is a scenario, guys. We must keep this in mind. Again, Bitcoin must get through and really start pushing towards 65 to cancel that out for now. Injective, AVAX, a lot of the alts are showing the same thing. If we don't get through these walls, flush down here, and then we start moving to the upside. To get bullish, we need to break through these highs, test, and then start moving to the upside. Okay, guys, lots of love. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow. Big week this week. A lot of trading this week for me personally. So I'm going to start bringing a bunch of trading into the streams. Pop yes in the comments after the stream. Let me know if you're happy with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Bring some, I'm starting to unlock some cash now and start to go a little bit more aggressive on the trading. So I'm going to be updating a lot of trades on the streams as well. Have a fantastic day. Lots of love. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.